Evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to bring this up because I said this months ago, right? I said this months ago on the video that the British state were bringing in refugees or people from other countries from the Middle East without our knowing. And I said that because I had an experience where I met a load of Palestinians and they said that there was loads of them that were coming here. So I said that, I brought that up. Now, today, we have learned that the media didn't just have a judgment put on them to keep stum or quiet about between 20 to 100,000 Afghans, that yes, they may have helped us, our British troops in Afghanistan, fight the Taliban, but we've brought them back here on the quiet. And there was a super judiciary, a super judgment put out that the media were not allowed, or the established media wasn't allowed to talk about it. So us British taxpayers couldn't kick off, couldn't have a say in it, yet we're paying for it. We're paying for them to come back. And then there was a serious leak that went out by a Royal Marine by mistake, a data leak, which has put these Afghans at risk, of course, by the Taliban. Now they've taken over Afghan. And that wonderful display because of Biden, where they took over literally billions worth of military equipment from the USA. How embarrassing was that for the United States? But not only that they've put them at risk, we have now been told that we have got these extra Afghans and we've been paying for them left, right, and centre, and we've been lied to again by the British state. If we lie to them or we moan about anything, we get slammed. Or if we talk about anything, we get slammed. Now they're controlling everything. And then, lo and behold, France has just said they're going to allow up to 200,000 Palestinian refugees into their country. And where are they going to go? Are they going to get the benefits that France offers? No, because France don't offer those benefits. Not the benefits that the UK do. Where are they going to be going? The first thing they will be doing is getting on one of those banana boats straight over here. And it only takes one of the men to come here, set up home, set up shop, literally sometimes, and then the rest come over. The families, the cousins, you name it. So, this means our Jewish community are going to be under even more threat. And we are going to have even more unreal Palestinians, which, sorry for Queers for Palestine or Gays for Gaza, but I think your days are numbered on this one because they're not going to like your presence at these protests. Let's put it that way. And you might see some real action from Gazans themselves. Now, there was another thing that I heard on the news today, which was really alarming, about this young schoolgirl here. They said that they wanted a culture day where they could celebrate, where each and every single child at that school could come in, who's from a different background or different culture, and celebrate their identity, celebrate their culture, and talk about who they are, where they're from, and what they do in their country. It would be funny to see some practices that could have been followed, but there we go. Now, I'd imagine if you dressed up as a Hamas soldier, as a Palestinian, resistance fighter, you would have been all right, and you probably would have got a gold star. But if you went in with a Union Jack, you got isolation. And this poor girl wanted to celebrate fish and chips, the royal family, cups of teas, the queue, the British Empire. Shakespeare, whatever. But she wasn't allowed. No. She wore a Union Jack sequin dress and a hat, went into school, couldn't wait. She is a top class student as well. They said that she's great at everything, hasn't got any problems or issues at school or any nonsense. And they isolated her. And not one teacher stood up for her and said, why is she here in isolation? They embarrassed her. They singled her out of a crowd of these children from many backgrounds. And I'm sure there were many English there as well, or British children there that seen that she was wearing a British outfit. Now they've seen her be isolated. If they want to celebrate patriotic values or conservative views or anything like that, that they'll be isolated. That teacher should be sacked. Now, if you go back a few months ago, there was a child that wore a Palestinian, one of those small little pin badges. What happened when a teacher told him that he couldn't wear it? Protests took outside the school. They were calling for the head teacher to be sacked. What happened today? Well, the school made an apology. And us Brits stayed quiet. We do what we're told. We stay quiet because if we say anything, we're far right. And we'll get put in jail. Like Peter Lynch. Like the rest. Like Lucy Connolly. Like all the others. Tommy Robinson. The state of our country is abysmal. It really is. And it's horrible to see that even a young girl can't celebrate where she lives without being punished in her own country by her own people. What have we become? My uncle, the son, says, was one of the highly and most decorated British soldiers that Britain had known. Friends with A-list Hollywood actors and also friends with the royals. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Holder. You look him up, my uncle. Very, very proud. He was a very proud. He worked himself up to Lieutenant Colonel and Master of Carmen. He was in charge of the logistics corps. And he was in charge also of the transportation for the royal family. He did all sorts. He was best friends with Sean Penn, Mel Gibson, Daniel Craig. I'll put some pictures up. And he even had Sean Penn to be my cousin Frankie's godfather. And he had literally joined the army. He did cadets before the army. He joined the army age 16, worked his way through the ranks. And when he turned 50 years of age, he decided to get married. He could have retired. He did his 22 years. He could have retired at, so 22 plus 16. I am tired, by the way. 38. He could have retired at 38 or 48, whatever it is. But he continued. He continued to serve and give to this country. He put everything on hold. He put having children on hold. He put getting married on hold. He did tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, and he also volunteered in Haiti after the earthquake, the disaster that took place there. And that's where he met Sean Penn, and obviously through Sean, he had met Daniel Craig, Mel Gibson, and so on and so forth. And it's my uncle. After he had just got married and found out his wife was pregnant and he was going to be a dad, he still wasn't going to retire. He was still going to serve the British Army. He had just been awarded one of the most amazing awards you could get as an officer. And he was very ill. And my mother and my grandmother looked at him one day when he came to visit them. And they said, "You look unwell, you need to go and see the doctor." And he thought he had some kind of bug from overseas because he's been around the world. Turned out he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Now Sean Penn, obviously, with contacts and money, offered for him to go out to America to see if they had any pioneering treatment that could possibly prolong his life or cure him. But that meant that he wouldn't be able to witness the birth of his son. So he chose to die here in England so he could witness the birth of his son. And he knew he was going to die, so he went out with a bang. And he set up a massive party in London, invited the whole family, paid for the whole family to stay in accommodation. He had them chauffeured from here, there and everywhere, and paid for them first class to attend his goodbye party, his 50th birthday celebration, the birth of his son, his wedding, and his award. Oh, and also say goodbye to him because he was dying as well. All in one go. Unfortunately, it was too much for me to handle. I didn't attend. I thought, for many reasons. I was in a bad place as well at the time. But I went to his funeral, which was at Wellington Barracks. You look at Wellington Barracks, how big it is. It's it's in London, near Buckingham Palace. And he was of that much importance that he knew the royals on a first name basis. They knew him on a first name basis, sorry. And at his funeral, they had someone that was sent over to let us know that the Queen herself had personally sent them a message at the funeral about how saddened she was to learn of his death when she did, and how sad of a day it is today for her, and that she was mourning him. My dear uncle, that was. Lovely. Barely got to see him because he was here, there and everywhere with the army. But that was my flesh and blood, who served more than 22 years in the British forces, a veteran, a really proud patriot. And then you got my great-grandfather, who served in World War One. And again, we've got him jumping out of aeroplanes, being shot at by Nazis, jumping out at night with bullets going past him, not knowing where you're going to land, couldn't see. He put his life, and he lied about his age when he enlisted, when they did the call out. They put a call out, and him and his best friend, they signed up, and he didn't come home for years. And when he did come home, and he didn't knew this at the time, but he had his daughter, which is my grandmother, running down the drive towards him, and she recognised him from a picture of him when he enlisted the army in a black and white photo on the fireplace. She knew who her dad was. She said, "Oh, that's my dad," and she ran up to him and gave him a cuddle. And that's when he found out he had a daughter. Again, my great-grandfather, and he went on to live into a very good age, late 80s. And believe me, let's just say this was in the early noughties or late 90s. He had already been shocked by the demographic change and everything else that was taking place in this country back then. And really wished that he didn't give up everything that he did and fought for a country that has treated him so poorly the way they have now. And you're seeing the same thing for those who have served in Northern Ireland years ago, against terrorists, against those murdering bastards that were killing our soldiers. Now, you may have your different opinions on the IRA and Ireland and what have you, but wherever our British forces go, I follow them. Whether they want to go or not, they are still enlisted, and we have to back them, even if we are in the wrong war. Yeah, the Iraq war, it shouldn't have happened. Tony Blair and George Bush seen us in there, but it still doesn't mean I don't support our troops, because they swore allegiance, they swore a duty, and they went. And they did what they were told. They didn't chicken out. They didn't say, "No, sir," because they did it. They did what they were told. And when you have people like that in this country that are willing to put their lives on the line because they genuinely believe they're doing it for the dirt and soil and people that they believe and love. That's the type of people we need in this country. There was a recent poll, not so long ago, and they asked the British public, the youngsters, the young men, if we were to go into a World War III tomorrow, would you volunteer yourself to serve for Britain, for England, or for Britain as a whole? Only 50% said yes. And you're wondering why. Because you've got schools like the one today that are being taught it is wrong to be British. It is bad to be British. It's bad to be proud about being British. Being British is racist. The British flag is racist. We're imperialists. We're this, that, and the other, and we should pay back for everything that the British Empire did. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we didn't make some mistakes, and some part of the empire, some people would have done some bad things. You're not going to get everything perfect. No one is. But did you realise how big the British Empire was back then? The actual jobs that we were supposed to do and the missions that we went out to do were didn't have any bad intentions. If anything, we have done good for the world. We have bought so much for a tiny little island, and we have gave so much, and we're still giving everything. And we are tolerant people, very tolerant, too tolerant, to the point now that we are told to be ashamed of ourselves. And we're letting it happen. We're letting it be. Now, I know we've got these days that we can turn up, these Unite the Kingdom days, demonstrations, marches, protests, whatever you want to fucking call them. They're not making no difference, are they? And we're getting these political parties coming out from the left now with Jeremy Corbyn, out from the right now with Ben Habib. And it's just getting more and more divisive, it's messing up things even more. The Conservatives are not the Conservatives no more. Labour is not Labour no more. Everything is just all the same. And by Jeremy Corbyn setting up his political party, he's just got Nigel Farage into number 10. Congratulations, Nigel. You are the next Prime Minister. Now, whether that's a good thing, I don't know. Because we've seen the podcast that he did. Was that holding his cards close to his chest? Maybe. But when he was questioned about the demographic change, and he wasn't concerned about the demographic change, but the culture of the country. No, the demographic change in this country is one of the biggest and most concerning matters that we British should be worried about. Because why are you going to care about your culture when you have another one in your home already? If it doesn't make sense. And we are going to become a minority, my friends, whether we like it or not, unless we start having babies and we shoot them out left, right, and centre. That's it. We're done for. But I've said this time and time again. I've said about these secret migration packages that the government are doing. And they said there was a £22 billion black hole. Well, now you know where that black hole was going. It was going on bringing refugees, which 1,500 of them were identified as sexual convicted criminals, by the way. 1,500 out of the 20,000 were known to be sexually convicted criminals. Yet we put them up. We've got them here. They're here. And the media were told to keep quiet so that we British people didn't know a thing. Same like they did with Axel Rudiker Banner. The media, they lied to us. And although we got it right, although most people did get it right the first time, they still wanted to convince us that he was a choir boy, a Christian, a bloody choir angel from Cardiff, a Welsh patriot, probably spoke Welsh. That's what they tried persuading us. And what did we find out? He had an Al-Qaeda terrorist manual, how to make ricin, all this, that and the other, which is exactly what we were kind of guessing along the lines anyway. We know. And the very fact that we've got to be careful talking about it just shows you now what type of state that we live in. It is such a sorry story. It really is. And the poor girl today that went into school to be punished and isolated because she wore a Union Jack dress, because she was proud of being British, when she was told to do exactly, and she did exactly what she was told to do. It's an embarrassment. Now, I'm glad that GB News did report on this, but they're just as bad because they won't talk about certain things neither, and they hide things too. But there is more to it than meets the eye, and I'm telling you now, they've said that France have got this 200,000 deal that they've done, whatever, they're going to let in 200,000 refugees from Gaza. Don't forget we've just done a 1-for-1 deal with Macron in that wonderful display and invitation that we gave him. Not like the one with our closest ally, Donald Trump, of course, where we just let him come and we say, hello, Mr. Trump, yeah, hi, how are you doing? No, because, of course, the Labour Party, they believe that he's a misogynist, a racist, a Nazi, this, that, and the other. They won't say it to his face, of course. No, now that they're in power, of course, they believe that America is our ally and, we can work with Trump. And Keir Starmer, of course, is friends with him and everything's going great. That's what they want you to believe. But trust me, Trump knows different. And it's got to a point now that YouTubers are getting that worried of what they can and can't say that they're moving. They're moving abroad. Paul Thorpe's already gone. A good, I would like to say, good friend that I've managed to get to know over the past couple of years. As well as his friend Danny, who was already out in Spain. But now we've got Maya Tusi, one of the best YouTubers out there, I believe, personally. He's now going too, for the benefit of his business, but for the safety of his family also. Because the police have refused to do anything about the threats that were made to him, unless it is happening right there and right then. Now, this country, I mean, where I live, I'm lucky. Because the demographics, where I live, is pretty much 100% like me. Or let's say 99.8% like me. So I don't get to see what you guys have in London, Manchester, or other cities, Birmingham. But I do visit them. And I do see them. I do see what happens. And don't forget, I am awake as anything. I have an X account. I know I have the right people on here. I know what I see and believe what I see. And I make my own judgment. And when I do, if I want to come out and make a video, I will. And I'll pull it up. And that's even with bloody, what do you call them? Those bastards the police have set up, knocking on the door, wanting to interview me. The bloody, what are they called? Can't even think of them. They're that insignificant. But the people that they signpost people to when you're supposed to be an activist or a terrorist and they believe that you're a threat to the country or society. Oh, what? How can I not get this right? I'm going to have to find this out. Bear with me. The prevent strategy. There we go. I've got it. Prevent. So I've obviously, if you don't know already, I've had prevent knock on my door. My name's been given to them. I am on their list. I am on their list already, and of course, because of that, that's why my algorithm is not good on YouTube. Because the establishment also have access, and they are in talks with social media platforms, and they will mess up deliberately the algorithms for those who they believe are pushing out far right propaganda. In other words, the truth. Stuff they don't like. Stuff that goes against their views. We no longer live in a democratic state no more. We are in a totalitarian, authoritarian state, ladies and gentlemen. And the sooner you realise that, the quicker you will wake up. And I suggest, and I say this in most videos now, I suggest to all of you, if you do not have an X account already, get one. Get behind some of the people that you're already following on YouTube, like Maya2C, Paul Thorpe. Look at Paul Golding's account as well. And just have a look. Because you'll get recommended other pages then. And once you get recommended those pages and accounts, it's only then you'll see the deep truth of what's really going on in certain parts and pockets of the UK. And some of the stories that you'll see, read and watch, you'll never see on mainstream media. Ever. And when I watch them, I always look and I think if I downloaded this clip, which I could, and I have done in the past, it would get me banned on Facebook. And the amount of times I have been kicked off Facebook for a week or a month or 2 months or God knows how long, because I've put up a 20-second clip of something that's took place in Birmingham or Manchester or Liverpool or somewhere like that. Bradford, Leeds, Leicester, Nottingham, you name it. I've put clips up from everywhere of people walking around, certain demographics walking around with weapons during the protests. That got my previous channel removed, by the way. So you could put up videos of British people minding their own business, or British people standing, and you can also put up videos, so standing on the sideline, doing nothing, but you can also put up videos of the ones that were causing chaos and trouble, ones that were pushing wheelie bins that were on fire into the police and into hotels, which I completely don't agree with. I believe in peaceful protests and that we should do things by the book, legally. I know which way we're heading. It's not going to be that nice. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's 2 words. The first one begins with C. The second one begins with W. I'll say no more. But we know that that's where we're heading. Because the government refused to listen to the people. And the more they refuse, the more they're going to wind up the society, the taxpayer. And already we know there's going to be another tax rise coming, even though Labour promised there will be no tax rises. They have gone against absolutely every single policy they made on their mandate when they were out trying to get the public to vote for them during the election. Trying to get you to sponsor them to get into government. And just because the Tories wound you up, you fell in that trap. Well, congratulations if you did vote Labour, because you are part of the reason the country is the way it is now. I don't believe it would be that much different if the Tories were in charge. No, I don't. I believe they would have actually, if anything, got worse and would have got too relaxed in the fact that they had so many years of power that they couldn't have cared no more, and they were going way too far to the left. That they probably would have ended up worse than Labour at some point. And they will, even with Kemi. Unless Kemi leaves and they take on new people, or unless they join Reform or Ben Habib's party, or all of them and UKIP join up as one, I don't think we've got a chance in hell. Because Reform UK can't do much about it, and they've said the limits of what they're going to do. 1 in, 1 out, which is pretty much what Keir Starmer has just said. He got it right a few weeks ago. I just wish he didn't come back. When he said we were an island of strangers, I was shocked. Well, congratulations, sir. You've got your head a wobble. But then he come back to say that he regretted his statement and didn't mean it like it had come out. The likes of Enoch Powell, if they were alive today, Maggie Thatcher, Winston Churchill. Just imagine those three, if they were in their prime, what they would be doing right now. And we have to think back to people like that. We literally do need to undo every law and every policy that has been brought in since the 50s, I would say, or the 60s, and just go back to then. Teach what was taught then to our children. Because all it takes, and we've seen this with Palestine, we've seen it, and if you haven't seen YouTube documentaries made by the IDF and other people that have made documentaries about this, they have literally brainwashed a generation, and it starts with education. And this famous Russian guy, an ex-KGB agent, Yuri something. If you type in Yuri, it will come up. Yuri documentary or film. It will come up, and you'll be able to see what he said about it all. And this was back, I believe, in the 80s or 90s or 70s, something like that. And he said what the plans would be and how to destroy a country. He said you start with the education system. You start with the children. You tell them that you start with them. You brainwash them. And you brainwash them until they're 18. And then you've got a whole generation then that will change absolutely everything. They'll destroy the country. They'll divide each other. You put in different doctrines that will go against the original fabric of the society, of what makes them, that or creates their identity of who they are. You brainwash a generation like that to go against their own people and their own way of life. And you weaken that country's, well, let's say, loyalty, their, let's say, society as a whole, everything about the country. It crashes the economy, it weakens it, and that's when, initially, you attack. And it won't be long until there will be something. I don't believe World War III will start with Russia or China. I don't believe it will. It's going to come from the Middle East. And I've said this for a very long time. It will come from the Middle East, and it will start, most probably, in Israel. And the job they're doing out there, they're doing for us. Because it starts there. And believe me, if they took over Israel, if anyone was able to take over Israel right now, which is a nuclear power, by the way, that'll be it. It's game over. They'll then start a caliphate, and that they would start heading for Europe. And you know who I mean by them. There's only one way we can go about this, guys, and I've said this so many times. It will never happen, and this is the reason why things won't change. And I know you're hopeful for change, and I know that you believe certain parties may be able to change it. I believe UKIP are probably the only ones that would, to be fair, because They're more into restoring Christian values back into the schools and into the society, and more about remigration, and again, completely against mass migration. And they also want they want to do mass deportation, get rid of all the criminals, the illegals that have stepped foot here, families with them as well, with a Trump-style regime. And they want to reshape the whole country back to the way it was, back to how it used to be, where it was safe for women to walk the streets, where children could be proud to be British, like that poor girl today, where people like Peter Lynch wouldn't have killed himself in prison or even been put in prison in the first place, where people like Tommy Robinson wouldn't have found himself being told that he couldn't play a film and then get jailed and put in solitary confinement. It's those in the prisons that are running the gangs, the Islamists that are running the gangs in the prisons. They're the ones that should be punished for doing what they're doing. They're bullying the staff now. They're hurting our staff now. And they're infiltrating our policing system. And we've already seen what's happened with the NHS, that if an English or British nurse has got more qualifications than someone who belongs to the BAME community, that person who belongs to the BAME community gets the job, if that's what it comes to, in job interviews, that they're giving them to the BAME community first. That is what you call racist. You might as well put up a sign saying, no dogs, no British, no patriots. Basically. And this has been going on for far too long. But it's clearly obvious, and there are still a lot of people walking blindly, watching BBC every night, watching Coronation Street and EastEnders and Emmerdale, believing everything's just fine, switching off at 9 o'clock, having their final cup of tea or hot chocolate, going to bed, waking up, going to work, paying their taxes, not bothering listening to the news, not bother looking at politics, not bothering looking into social media, a real independent journalism, because they don't know. There is a majority out there that doesn't still know that this is going on. So the only way that we can show them is by sharing content like mine, sharing content like Maya Tusi, sharing content and rubbing it in the faces of the left. Stand and stick it to the man. That's simply all you have to do. And I do not give a flying fuck where I end up, or if a bullet goes into my head or my chest. I will say what I want and do what I want as an English and British man, because I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of people like my uncle, my great-grandfather, who I mentioned earlier, and those like them. I'm proud of your ancestors, you watching, the most of you, my fans, my subscribers that watch my content. I'm proud of all your families that have also fought too. And I bet you're just as pissed off as I am about what's taking place, not just today, but over these amount of years. Yet we feel like there's nothing we can do. Oh, we've got this pledge thing you can sign. Has that made a difference? And I'm not saying this to be harsh to Richard Inman and Paul Fort, because the work they put in, and believe me, I've seen how much work they put in. But unless we're demonstrating and we're having demos and we're doing things on the regular, unless we're on the streets every week, unless we say we're going to have a national or general strike, unless we start doing something on a regular basis, we are going to have this continue even more and more and more. The Irish have stepped it up a notch. Did you not see their beautiful fire displays that they've had recently? Quite colourful, I must say. And maybe a bit too far on some of the things, possibly. But they're showing their anger. And I'm not saying to go out and do the exact same things. I'm not saying go out and cause violence or erupt and cause chaos and do this and do that. No. But peaceful protest. And we should be doing this every week. Instead of making short films, documentaries, or doing live streams where you can send super chat stickers and become a member and get to see this, that and the other, or join my Patreon, buy me a coffee and send me some money. No. We're not going to change the country by doing that. The only way we're going to change the country is by getting those who are still stuck in what Andrew Tate calls the Matrix, because it practically is one, by getting those to awaken to the bullshit that is taking place. Those who work 9 to 5, the ones that I just described, that come home at 5, start with Hollyoaks, end up watching Emmerdale, then Corrie, then EastEnders, then something else, cup of tea, Horlicks, hot chocolate, bed, wake up next day, cereal, go to work, come back, tea, Hollyoaks, Emmerdale, those types of people. The main majority of the British population. That's who we need to wake up. Because believe me, if you go out into the town where I live, they're all green. They're all green. And they're all for it. I've stood outside Ecotricity a few weeks ago. Up the road from me. Quite a few miles away from me. And I stood outside it, opposing Dale Vince's massive fuck off Palestinian flag across covering a whole building. Right? Have a look at the videos if you haven't seen it already. And I stood out and I went in there to see if he was in, to see if he would have a debate, and all I had was members of the public going by shouting genocide. Yet not one of them would debate me. They all walked off. They all hurried off. Because they didn't know what they were talking about. None of them have a clue what they're talking. They couldn't point Gaza on the map. If I show them. They don't even know that Gaza has two other borders as well. It has 3 borders. It has Israel, Jordan, and Egypt. Then it's got the sea line. And they say this from the river to the sea. Which river do you believe that it's coming from? Ask them. They haven't got a clue. Which sea? They won't tell you. They won't be able to tell you because they don't know what they're talking about. And boy, they're in for a shock when those 200,000 refugees that are supposedly going to France come here. Because I'm telling you now, we have already imported some of them. I've seen them. I've seen them already and spoken to them already. They are already here. We've been doing this a very long time and it's been kept quiet a long time. We're only hearing drips that are coming out and being leaked every now and then. That's all we're getting. But it will all finally be revealed. And what I'm saying to you will make sense. And you'll think, shit me. It was this bad all along. And we weren't allowed to know. Had we have known, we would have done something. Don't know what. But anyway, guys, I wish you all the best. And I hate to be, having rants all the time. But, when I sit in the car and I hear some of these things that are coming out, and I think, I've said this all along. And I hear it come out on GB News. You won't hear it on other news channels. Even though I dislike GB News for some things, they are the only radio station that I will listen to. And it upsets me, it really does, because I love my country, I genuinely do. And like I said, my family have given a lot to it, sacrificed a lot for it. My uncle got to spend just 10 weeks with his son, his first ever child. He spent his whole life from the age of 16 to the age of 50. 34 years he had spent in the British Army, worked his way up from a soldier to a lieutenant colonel, master of carmen, best friends with A-list Hollywood actors and the royals. Knew them on a first name basis, and they knew him on a first name basis. Just imagine. He grew up on a council estate. My uncle did. Didn't have a silver spoon fed in his mouth. My grandparents at the time were greengrocers. And that, he worked hard. He travelled the world. He went wherever he was told and did what he was told. And he put his life on. He never smoked. He wasn't a drunkard. He was as fit as a fiddle. And he volunteered. He even abseiled down the Shard. And I'll put up some clips of my uncle and a picture of my great-grandfather, God rest his soul, and God rest my uncle's soul. And it pisses me off that they put their lives on hold and they gave everything. They gave their everything. They gave their being. They put their lives on the line for this soil that we walk on and we take for granted. And these bastards that we're supposed to trust, that are supposed to work on our behalf, throw it back in our faces. And they treat others better than they treat us. And at some point, it's going to stop. We know it will. It has to. But there's only one way that's going to happen, and I'm not liking the look of how that is shaping out to be. But anyway, guys, on a better note, I wish you all the best. I hope you're all well. And I hope, I don't know if I'll be attending the 13th of September. I don't know what demonstration I'll be attending next. I'm trying my best at the moment to talk to people that have got platforms to see if they are willing to do extra work and put in some extra work by going to other places. I'm not getting anywhere. Which makes me believe that even those that say and have the platforms that they do and the money, but which started up those platforms, by the way, in the first place, are not as loyal as what we think they are not willing to put in that extra grit and might and fight harder for you, the likes of you and I. Whereas if it was me, if I had a platform, I'd reject any kind of donation or anything unless I knew it was going on a demonstration, so I could give you and show you the receipt and show you that what your money went on. And it would happen every week. I'd be out every week. It's not about who's on stage, neither. It's about sticking it to the man. Saying it the way it is. Being honest. Sharing stories. Letting people know what's going on truly in our towns, cities, villages. You have to let it out sometimes, don't you? But God bless you all. If you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe, and don't forget to like the video. But yeah, just today, listening to that in the car has just made my... But on a better note, things are going great with me. Purchased some new jewellery. So I got a Belcher chain today, which is a nice piece. And I got myself a new crucifix as well. So, yeah, got the 30-inch there, the 28-inch Belcher, and we got this 26-inch or 24-inch crucifix, which is a nice. Love my silver jewellery. Not a big fan of gold for some reason, but maybe it's because of the price. But yeah, and family-wise, doing great. Obviously, for those who know, I'm back with my my ex-partner, and yeah, she's on holiday at the moment. God bless her soul. Amazing woman, absolutely amazing woman, incredible. Couldn't be more happier, if I'm honest. Got her and my children, and that's why I'm doing this. And it's the only thing that I can offer until I have my liver transplant and I can get myself back into work again. But I literally am, most days, just trying to think, what can I do? What can I do to get a message out there? What can I do to start or kickstart something, or drive some fucking sense into these people that have the platforms that can reach to all the people that they can, more people than I can, so we can be out there every week, or at least every fortnight, or once a month at minimum, to tell the government, go fuck yourselves. We know what you're doing. We don't trust you. We want to vote in no confidence. We want a general election to be called, and we want a different party to take over. And we can do it. We can do it, guys. We can. Believe it. We can. Nothing is impossible. We can do it. It just takes action, and it takes hard work, determination and grit. The same determination, hard work and grit and blood, sweat and tears that our ancestors put in to the same nation. And you've got it in you. I've got it in me. It's in our blood. We can do it. And we do it for that. And for this. Because whilst this still beats, and our children are still walking to those schools, just remember that tomorrow an Afghan who is 19 years of age could possibly be in a secondary school with your 15-year-old daughters because he lied about his age. Just remember that. Just remember those who have children that walk at home on their own. Just remember, there's little pockets and areas where people hide out, waiting, praying on people like your children. And don't forget these diversion barriers that we now have in place to make sure that people don't get run over whilst we're shopping, whilst we're living our day-to-day lives. Barriers that weren't ever put in place just a decade or two ago. And we've got so used to hearing the words stabbings, shootings, murder. We got too used to listening to those words that they have lost their meaning or their meaningness. That we're too. It's almost like our brains are just wired now to think that this is normal. This is just Britain. This is how it should be. It's not. And I refuse to accept that this is going to be the new normal as well. So unless we do, in a massive way, say a big fuck you to Sadiq Khan. And I don't care about my language at this moment. And you may judge me, yeah, because I am a self-proclaimed Christian. And I've got tattoos. Yeah, I've I swear, I do this, I do that. It doesn't bother me. Only God can judge me. But I'm a working class man. I'm a council estate boy. And I ain't changing for no one. I say it how it is, and that's to anyone. And I am just so frustrated. Not just with our establishment and our government, but those who say and proclaim that they speak and defend us on these YouTube channels and other channels on social media. They've got the power to call the people out on a weekly basis, and they don't. And I've asked so many people now, and do you know what? I haven't even got enough subs yet to even name and shame them. But it's coming to a point where I'm going to start to name and shame. Because I have offered so much to so many and said, listen, we can change. We can do this. You just got to believe in it. And they go, no, it don't work like that. We can try. We haven't tried. Oh yeah, but the Palestinians do it every week and they haven't changed anything. They're different. They're calling for a different thing. They're calling for things to change abroad, not at home. We're calling for action here. In our homes, in our villages, our towns, our very own streets. And by taking to those streets where we've got these problems, that's the only way we're going to be able to prove that it's happening. But all I can do is keep trying for you. And I keep messaging these so-called YouTubers and influencers or whatever. And I ask them to please just do more. And if anyone out there wants, if there is a YouTuber or someone who does have a platform that is watching this or has been sent this by one of my subscribers or one of my fans watching, then I'm pleading with you to get in contact with me. The Patriotic Christian UK @gmail.com. Let me come onto your podcast. Let me come onto your channel. Let me talk with you about what we should do next. What our approach should be. How we can change this country, not in 4 years' time or 5 years' time in 2029, but sooner. And I'm talking about much sooner. Within months. Wouldn't you like that? A safer country, a safer Britain, a Britain that you once knew and loved. And I still love my country, no matter how shit it's getting and how unrecognisable it is to how I used to know it. But Anyway, we will win eventually. And for those of you that are watching, thank you again for sticking with me. Thank you for watching. I love you all. And if we all have the same determination, we will win. We'll win anyway. Why? Because there's no one like the British. Good night, guys, wherever you are. God bless.